Welcome back, mystery fans, to another episode of Restless Killers and Mysteries with Roger Heilig. I'm Roger Heilig, your enthralling guide through the realm of unsolved killings, bizarre events, and mind-boggling riddles. If you are visiting us for the first time today, you are in for a treat. Welcome back, returning sleuths. Today we're digging into episode 2 with a story that's both exciting and perplexing. We're focusing on the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. This isn't just another criminal narrative. It's the largest art theft in history. Consider this: 13 valuable pieces of artwork vanish into thin air, with a $500 million price tag hanging over them. This seems like something out of a Hollywood film, doesn't it? But this one is genuine, and it's as confusing as it gets. Don't be concerned if terminology like art theft and Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum make you feel out of your element. I'll break it all down for you, and make it as enjoyable as a gripping novel you can't put down. We're going back to that tragic night in Boston to investigate the events, the masterpieces that were captured, and the several twists and turns that followed. Whether you're an art connoisseur or someone who doesn't know a Rembrandt from a Renoir, I guarantee you'll be fascinated. So get a cup of tea or whatever suits your fancy. Sit down, and let's unravel the mystery of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum robbery. Believe me, by the conclusion of this episode, you'll be as fascinated by art crime as I am. Ready? Let's get started. Okay, let's establish the situation. It's the early hours of March 18, 1990. Boston is asleep, enveloped in the stillness of an early spring night. However, at approximately 1:24 a.m., two guys dressed as police officers go up to the side entrance of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. They quietly buzz the intercom and announce that they are responding to a disturbance call. Imagine their sheer boldness. Now, the museum's naive night security guard, a young man named Richard Abath, looks at these policemen on the video camera and chooses to allow them in. He had no idea that he was going to become a reluctant partner in the greatest art robbery in history. The officers claim they need to check his identification since he appears suspicious. And just like that, one of them persuades Abath to step away from the security desk, a decision that will haunt him forever. They quickly arrest him and lead him down to the basement. Doesn't this look like a scene from a movie? But it's real, and it's happening at a time when Boston's best artwork is on the verge of disappearing. Once our fictitious cops have apprehended Abath, they attract the second guard, Randy Hestand, who is making his rounds. Hestand faces the same fate. He is handcuffed and dragged to the basement. Both guards were duct taped to pipes and lay helpless as two thieves strolled freely among some of the world's most recognized artworks. The guards had been compromised, and they now had entire control of the museum. For the next 81 minutes, these two burglars plunder the museum. They target specific items, 13 in total, worth a whopping $500 million. Some of the most valuable works of art have been stolen. They take a Vermeer, a Manet, and even Rembrandt's sole seascape, The Storm on the Sea of Galilee. And guess what? They even seized a Chinese gu, a bronze beaker dating back to the Shang dynasty. What's strange is not only what they took, but how they did it. These guys were not exactly gentle. They cut paintings from their frames. Consider the scene: empty frames still hung on the walls, cavernous spaces where masterpieces previously stood. It's almost symbolic. A museum recognized for its elegance and cultural richness now displaying stark emptiness, a somber reminder of what has been lost. But why this museum? And why these particular pieces? Well, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was created with a personal touch. Gardner herself stated in her will that nothing in her collection should be relocated. This means our daring duo had a wealth of knowledge at their disposal. They knew exactly what they wanted. As daylight broke over Boston, the gravity of the crime became more apparent. The morning shift personnel came to find the guards missing from their places, as well as the museum's prized treasures. To say it was an unpleasant awakening is an understatement. Reporters raced to the site as detectives jumped into action. The city's cultural heart had been struck, and the damage was severe. For Boston, it was more than just a heist. It was a devastating loss, an almost personal insult to its cultural legacy. Over 30 years later, the mystery persists. Who are these thief art fans posing as cops? Where has the artwork gone? Despite prizes, several leads, and an ongoing investigation, the pieces have yet to be recovered. Despite the fact that the FBI and art detectives from across the world are still working on the case, it remains one of the art world's most intriguing and maddening mysteries. So there you have it. 2 imposters, 81 minutes, 13 precious works of art, and a staggering $500 million vanishing performance. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the bold drama and follow the stolen brushes of genius. Who knows? Perhaps you'll be motivated to solve the case yourself. Okay, let's speak about the crown jewels of this heist, the masterpieces stolen in the most spectacular art theft in history. Consider this: the stolen valuables included works by Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Degas. If that doesn't give you a sense of how monumental this loss was, buckle up. We're about to go into why these pieces were so valuable and what their absence implies for the art world. First, let us discuss about Vermeer. Johannes Vermeer, a 17th century Dutch artist, is most known for his peaceful, beautifully constructed private interior scenes. Among the stolen works was Vermeer's The Concert. Because Vermeer did not produce many paintings, only about 34 are known today. Each is extremely valuable. The Concert is especially beloved since it vividly captures an intimate moment of musical play within a family. The meticulous workmanship, light play, and tranquil expressions of the figures give it an almost timeless aspect. Imagine if this item, which provided a rare glimpse into 17th century life, vanished. Let us now turn our attention to Rembrandt, one of the great Baroque artists. Two of his pieces were stolen, A Lady and Gentleman in Black and a modest self-portrait etching. The most tragic loss, however, was Storm on the Sea of Galilee, Rembrandt's lone seascape. Consider a boat stuck in a stormy sea, anxious sailors battling the waves, and a stunning sky overhead. Rembrandt's ability to capture human emotion and natural turmoil in such vivid detail is sheer genius. Given Rembrandt's emotional force and great technique, losing these works is like losing a piece of cultural and artistic legacy. Next, let's talk about Degas. Edgar Degas was an expert at depicting movement, especially the grace and elegance of ballet dancers. Among the stolen things were several of his sketches and a bronze eagle finial, both of which emanated his distinct style. Degas had the incredible ability to freeze a moment in time with a few strokes, capturing the fluidity of dance and daily life. Each of his works demonstrates his excellent observational skills and precise workmanship. The loot included more than simply these three well-known names. The burglars also stole a Manet painting, Chez Tortoni, Tropanos the Cavalry, and a number of other valuable items, including an old Chinese vase. Each stolen piece had a distinct historical and artistic worth. Manet's Chez Tortoni captures the essence of late 19th century Parisian café culture. The comfortable yet classy gentleman sitting with a sip of beer and writing something down provides a glimpse into the leisurely Parisian lifestyle. You may question why these items are so valuable. Sure, there's the monetary aspect, estimated at approximately $500 million, which is astonishing. However, it extends beyond money and cents. Each stolen piece signifies a watershed moment in art history, a one-of-a-kind creation that will never be recreated. Vermeer's The Concert, Rembrandt's Storm on the Sea of Galilee, and Degas' drawings are more than just works of art. They are cultural treasures that provide insights into many eras, styles, and schools of thought. They are part of the communal memory and legacy of humanity. The loss of these treasures has a psychological effect on the art world. Museums are sanctuaries where the general people can appreciate the beauty and historical value of great works. When such items are stolen, it is more than just a theft. It is a rip in the cultural fabric. The Gardner Museum's empty frames, still hanging in their former locations, serve as a devastating reminder of what is missing, a silent, haunting monument to lost art. Furthermore, the heist gave rise to a cultural phenomenon. These stolen works have achieved nearly mythological significance. Collectors and art historians have endlessly theorized about their location. Detectives and amateurs alike have concocted ideas more bizarre than a crime novel. To summarize, the stolen treasures from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum are not simply missing artworks. They are lost stories, histories, and examples of human inventiveness. Their departure leaves a void in the tapestry of art history. While the search for these treasures continues, the world waits with bated breath, hoping that one day they will be returned to their proper home, illuminating our history once more. Let us delve into the details of how our daring art thieves pulled off what can only be characterized as an Ocean's 11-style robbery. First, what was the state of security at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum that fatal night? You would anticipate laser grids and motion sensors from the movies, but the reality was far more mundane. The museum's security system consisted of a few rudimentary motion detectors, some cameras that were far from high definition by today's standards, and night watchmen on the graveyard shift, a little more 90s comedy than high-tech heist drama. Unfortunately, the museum failed to upgrade its security measures on a regular basis. Let's just say that if security was a car, it was still driving on an AM radio while the rest of us had switched to satellite. This lapse exposed important vulnerabilities that may be exploited. Let's go back to the early hours of March 18, 1990. It's 1:24 a.m., and the museum gets an unexpected visit from two men disguised as Boston police officers. They approach the side entrance and use the intercom to demand access. Here comes the first breach, a novice error. Richard Abeth, the night guard, lets them in without following protocol, citing confusion and intimidation. It unlocked Pandora's box, whether out of fear or naivety. Once inside, the officers swiftly calmed the guards by pretending they were responding to a disturbance report. Within minutes, the so-called policemen disclosed their true intentions, instructing the guards to leave their desks and enter a less conspicuous area of the museum. The guards cooperate, but their collaboration is short-lived. They are quickly handcuffed and duct-taped. Boom! The museum's lone human line of defense is instantly rendered ineffective and relegated to the basement. Now, one could question how museum security did not notice something fishy right away. To begin with, the museum's volunteers, especially the night guards, were not exactly top-tier security personnel. Many were more like hall guards, with graffiti on museum pamphlets being their primary concern at the time. To be fair, who could blame them for not expecting two phony officers in the middle of the night? With the guards gone, the burglars have complete control of the facility for the next 81 minutes. The museum's arrangement, which had previously appeared to be an artistic maze, suddenly worked directly in their favor. These guys knew exactly what they wanted. No aimless roaming, just precise hits. It's incredible how they avoided practically every motion detection and camera. Almost? I say nearly because some of their behaviors were captured on video, particularly near the security desk, leading us to assume they weren't quite the seasoned professionals they portrayed themselves to be. Their method was a combination of raw force and chutzpah. They discovered a little-known vulnerability: security tapes. Normally, the tapes are a goldmine for investigators, but not here. Our master burglars stole the footage. It was as if they carried the entire black box with them. Talk about thinking ahead, right? Also on their to-steal list were 13 pieces of art, including but not limited to Vermeer's The Concert and Rembrandt's Storm on the Sea of Galilee. These artifacts were picked with such deliberateness that it's impossible not to think they had insider information. Someone understood exactly what to lift from Maximum Hall with no fuss. But let's not give these criminals too much credit. The museum failed in more ways than one. One of the most glaring errors was the night shift regulations. The guards were expected to patrol the museum on a regular basis, but because the space was so large and low-lighted, they frequently remained in the security room. And what about the old-school alarm system? The thieves detached it with ease. You'd expect some sirens to go off and lights to flash, but nope, silence. Another layer of deception: the burglars had planned a quick getaway. They understood which paintings were on show and which sculptures could be ripped completely off their pedestals. Strangely enough, they left several incredibly valuable items behind. This cherry-picking is one of the reasons analysts feel they were not single operators. There could have been a shopping list sent down from some elusive masterminds, or perhaps they were limited by time and readiness to handle just particular types of artwork. To summarize, this security compromise was a Swiss cheese of weaknesses, including antiquated systems, human naivete, and opportunistic exploitation. And in those early morning hours, as Boston slept, a robbery that would perplex the art world and investigators for decades was carried out. What is the end result? A $500 million question mark has left the art world clutching its pearls. Okay, enough shop talk. Next up, we'll go into detail about what was stolen in this theft and why it was so important. Stick with me. The heist at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was not your average crime. As soon as the alarm was raised, law enforcement became involved in one of the most perplexing art robberies in history. Consider this: it's March 18, 1990, and the museum's guards, still drowsy and confused, are reporting the disappearance of 13 priceless works of art. The detectives summoned to the area were met with a bizarre sight: empty frames hung on the walls where masterpieces once stood. You can image the initial frenzy, a mix of astonishment and haste. Let's go over the first tumultuous times. The Boston Police Department and the FBI responded promptly, kicking off what would become a decades-long inquiry. The initial priority was to secure the crime scene and preserve any evidence left by the robbers. It is alleged that they methodically searched every inch of the museum for fingerprints, tools, and anything else that may be traced back to the perpetrators. One of the first clues they discovered was security footage. The presence of two policemen entering the museum would normally raise suspicion, but not that night. The guards, believing this was a standard response to a disturbance, unintentionally let the robbers in. Investigators examined the tape, attempting to decipher every gesture and movement of these bogus cops. They moved with criminal skill, implying that this was not their first rodeo. But where to begin with the suspects? Initially, the spectrum appeared broad and scary. Everyone, from neighborhood petty offenders to multinational art thieves, was considered. It didn't help that the art world is riddled with mysterious personalities and covert transactions. The FBI also created channels of communication with other law enforcement organizations across the world, hoping that international eyes would have noticed anything they had overlooked. The work itself was invaluable, but what drew investigators in was the sheer audacity with which each item had vanished. We're talking about Vermeer's The Concert, possibly the most valuable missing work of art in the world, and Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, his only known seascape. These were not just basic black market deals, they were trophies. Whitey Bulger, the renowned Boston mob boss, was among the early suspects. Rumors circulated that he was involved, maybe using the paintings as leverage in future negotiations. To spice things up, other criminals in Bulger's network appeared on the radar, each with their own enticing thread that led nowhere. Then there were the more unexpected players. Museum employees. Staff and colleagues were initially trusted, but with potential access and reasons veiled in mystery, they were called into question. Could this have been an inside job? The criminals' thorough understanding of the security system suggested someone with inside information, but no solid insider connections ever emerged. One of the more intriguing lines was tips about the art being stashed in Ireland, possibly linked to the IRA, but again, dead ends. The investigators worked relentlessly, following every rumor and clue, no matter how improbable. It was like attempting to solve a puzzle with components strewn over several countries. The absence of specific evidence became increasingly irritating as the investigation progressed. There are no ransom notes or artwork on the underground market. It looked as if the earth had absorbed the stolen pieces. The thieves looked to have vanished as completely as the art had. Various conspiracy ideas have been proposed over the years, but one thing has always been clear. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum theft was painstakingly planned and carried out. The fact that recovery operations have delivered no meaningful returns merely adds to the mystery. Investigators have gone from flying helicopters over coastal warehouses to combing through the private collections of reclusive millionaires. However, each new phase has returned them to square one, with the empty frame still hauntingly hanging in the museum. So, decades later, we're still asking the same questions and piecing together the same fragments. The Gardner theft remains an enigmatic chapter in the history of art crime, with the spirits of Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Degas appearing to linger, waiting for justice. Now, let's get on to the most exciting part. Thoughts and hypotheses regarding who carried out the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum theft and where those precious treasures may be hidden. First on our suspect list is organized crime. The mob. A logical suspect in any huge robbery, right? Some believe the theft was orchestrated by a section of the Italian mafia. It makes for a compelling plot, with smooth-talking wise guys and hidden handoffs. But here's why this notion has some merit. You know, the art world and the underworld have frequently intermingled throughout the years. Some crooks see high-value art as a get-out-of-jail-free pass. In criminal circles, stolen masterpieces are reported to be used as bargaining chips to seek lower sentences or good treatment. But if Scorsese films have taught me anything, it's never that straightforward with the mob, and no actual proof has emerged to support this hypothesis. Moving on to the next suspect, an inside job? Consider this scenario. A dissatisfied employee, presumably armed with insider information about the museum's flaws, devises a scheme to make millions. It's not just speculation. One of the museum's guards, Rick Abath, who was on duty that fateful night, has faced investigation in the past. Abath reportedly breached protocol by allowing the thieves in, and there were some concerns about his actions on the night of the robbery. While no definitive evidence has been found to link the heist to him or any other staff member, the cloud of suspicion remains. Now let's take a sudden turn into the world of eccentric art collectors, a theory straight out of a James Bond film. Some speculate that an enigmatic collector, who couldn't legally purchase these treasures, ordered the heist to enjoy the artworks in solitude. Consider an extremely wealthy hermit savoring a glass of vintage wine in a hidden underground gallery. Okay, it's far-fetched, but stranger things have happened. No famous eccentric millionaires have been accused, but the hypothesis adds to the mystery and fascination of the lost paintings. One very weird notion claims that the heist was, believe it or not, a hoax. Yes, this is a prank. According to this version, the thieves did not aim to sell the artwork, but rather committed the crime for the sheer excitement and daring of pulling off such a monumental heist. It's a long shot, but it does make you wonder who would go to such lengths for a laugh. We cannot overlook the prospect of a multinational syndicate. Could this be the work of a sophisticated international criminal syndicate? Given the high value of the stolen artworks, it's possible that the heist was painstakingly planned and carried out by professionals who vanished without a trace. This theory gains momentum when we consider how readily stolen items could enter the black market and find their way into shady deals across countries. The international angle remains one of the most challenging, greatly expanding the search scope. Finally, there are wildcard theories which go into conspiracy area. Consider secret clubs, unscrupulous government officials, and complex decoy operations. While these explanations are unlikely to convince serious detectives, they do add to the captivating tapestry that is the Gardner Museum robbery. In essence, the Gardner robbery sparked enough speculation to fill entire libraries. The lack of substantial proof has resulted in a slew of conjectures, each as intriguing and perplexing as the next. We've cataloged mobsters, unhappy employees, secretive collectors, pranksters, worldwide racketeers, and even a few conspiracy theories. With so many potential suspects and possibilities, it's no surprise that the case has captivated and baffled people for nearly 30 years. Despite numerous investigations and examinations, the truth is as elusive as ever. As a result, the drama continues, fueling speculation in the art world and among armchair detectives everywhere. Stay tuned as we delve into more incredible mysteries and Restless Killers and Mysteries with Roger Heilig. Until then, keep your curiosity stimulated and theories flowing. Who knows? You might be the one to uncover the next big mystery. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, located in Boston, remains a testimony to one of history's most daring art heists. Following the heist, the museum left the stolen items frames empty, serving as a stark reminder of what was lost and a call to action for anyone with information regarding their locations. So, what's going at the museum right now? First and foremost, the institution continues to thrive as an important cultural monument. attracting people anxious to see not just its remaining collection, but also the mystery surrounding its missing pieces. The Gardner Museum is profoundly involved in recovering the stolen artworks and has never stopped working to reclaim these masterpieces. Let us discuss about the perks. The museum has offered enormous financial incentives, including a $10 million prize for information that leads directly to the recovery of all 13 stolen pieces. This sum makes it one of the most generous private incentives ever granted. There is also a smaller, but still important $100,000 prize for the recovery of the Napoleonic finial, one of the more unusual items stolen during the theft. The FBI, together with the museum's own security professionals, are still working relentlessly on the case. Tips continue to filter in on occasion, sometimes triggered by heightened media interest or the theft's anniversary. Each lead is methodically followed up on, but none has yet delivered the rewards that we and the art world are hoping for. Several theories have proposed that the stolen pieces made their way overseas or into the hands of private collectors, but tangible evidence remains elusive. The museum routinely works with foreign law enforcement to cast a wide net in the hopes of finding the lost art. Recent developments in the case have resulted in increased efforts and novel techniques. In recent years, the introduction of digital technology and social media has added a new dimension to the hunt. Platforms like Instagram and Twitter have become unexpected friends, as photographs, and it's not only about the money or the artworks, it's about Isabella Stewart Gardner's vision. She painstakingly organized her collection to teach and inspire future generations about the beauty and significance of art. The museum's continuous effort demonstrates a commitment to honoring her memory by restoring it to its former beauty. In essence, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum now combines beautiful art, compelling mystery, and a dogged pursuit of justice. The empty frames are more than just blanks on the wall. They represent hope and persistence. They tell us that, even though the treasures are missing, Isabella Stewart Gardner's spirit and the determination of those who care for her legacy remain unwavering. So, as you tour the hallowed corridors of the Gardner Museum or keep up with the latest developments in this riveting case, keep in mind that the narrative is far from done. These masterpieces are somewhere out there, waiting for their rightful return, and the hunt continues. That concludes our enthralling trip through the enigma of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum robbery. It's astonishing that such a bold crime could occur in the heart of Boston and leave so many issues unresolved after all these years. From the precise planning and execution by the brazen criminals, to the myriad ideas that have kept investigators, art lovers, and conspiracy theorists occupied, the story is as rich as the valuable art that was stolen. If you enjoyed this episode of Restless Killers and Mysteries with Roger Heilig, please like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your contribution allows us to continue unraveling these interesting secrets and bringing them to your ears. Have a theory or a proposal for our upcoming episode? Leave a comment or contact us through our social media channels. I'd love to hear from you. So stay interested, keep pondering the unknown, and join me next week as we explore another mind-boggling wonder. Until then, I'm Roger Heilig signing off. Take care and keep your detective hats on.